Retail and hospitality is changing, with often complex and fragmented systems combined with large volumes of customer data for businesses to make sense of. It's critical to work with the right partners in order to guarantee success. At Tratec Consulting, we help retail and hospitality businesses transform their technology, removing overly bloated processes and creating unified and efficient systems of working throughout. So don't just take our word for it. See for yourself. Tratec Consulting, the leaders in technology transformation across retail and hospitality.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the All Things Borough podcast, the official podcast for Farnborough Football Club, and sponsored once again by Tratec Consulting. Tratec takes your business visions and turns them into innovative reality. Good evening, everybody. This is season 3, episode 1. I'm Alan, as usual, and I'm joined by Simon. Simon, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. 3 seasons, crikey. No one would think it'd last, would it? It's like having having a long-term contract at a non-league club, isn't it? And you get on your third-year option, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
yeah. We've managed the third-year option. We must be doing right. Yeah,
we must be doing something right.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is yet, but we must be doing something right.
Well, yeah, we managed to rope Matt into sponsoring us again this year, so thank you, Matt, for that. We are going to. I haven't forgotten. I've messaged you, but I haven't forgotten. We are going to take you out for a bite to eat. Matt, big mac and chips, so yeah, nothing too much.
But look, you did warn me about saying this, but tonight's episode is we have got a very special guest, haven't we, Simon? So tonight we are speaking to our very own, the club's very own gaffer, Spencer Day, is coming on the episode. It should be a good episode, because we spoke to him at the beginning of last season, didn't we? It was a good episode then. So tonight we're going to talk to him about all what's going on in pre-season, the signings that we've made so far, especially the last 2 signings last week, and we'll go over what his hopes are for the season. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we might get an exclusive of another.
Yeah, what I would say this is obviously Spencer's not on the line currently, but he has promised us a transfer exclusive. So he's and that's not Don Parlo nor Rakish Bingham, by the way. That's something else he's promised us. An exclusive transfer update is on the way to you via our little podcast.
We hope.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to cut that bit out.
Yeah, I think you might have.
I'm just adding in. We hope.
yeah, we hope. Yeah, we hope. But there is more signings on the way. We know that.
Yes, there is.
So we just as well as we've only got 7 players, so we do need some more. There are more on the way. So I know all the Borough faithful have been very patient, or more patient than most clubs, so we say, with our current transfer activities. But I think after Friday's announcement of the 2 signings, they were really
a little bit more exciting, isn't it?
I've raised my expectations from 24th to 23rd now, so we're getting there. And another couple of signings on the way. I reckon we might be fighting a relegation dogfight with Cheshire.
Yeah,
so we're happy days. Yeah, and Enfield. Things looking up. Obviously, there's a really nice message from Duncan as well. If no one's seen that, well, everyone's not no one. If you haven't seen it,
everyone must have seen that by now.
Yeah, hopefully so. If you haven't done, you need to get yourselves more involved in the game, and also and not have a life like me. I was on it as soon as it was released. I'd already listened to it by the time anyone else had heard of it. So that's just my life these days, you know. So,
you messaged me about it, and it wasn't even up on my feed yet.
yeah, you hadn't seen it. I'd already listened to it. So it's normally the other way around. Actually, I'm normally the last person to read these.
Yeah.
But you messaged it. But it's things are exciting. Obviously, there's been we'll talk to Spencer also, not only about the signings, because obviously that's the good stuff, but also the bad. Obviously, we lost Reggie, who was a bit of a shame he's left. But I've spoken to I have spoken to Reggie.
Holmes.
on a personal level since he's left. Just via messages on holiday at the moment, and he said that he did say it'll be it's a bye for now, not a goodbye forever.
Not
So
forever.
he'll be back. So at some point, so probably after a year at Dagenham, he realised that it's full time football's rubbish. He'd rather do rather do part time and do his go back to his electrician job. Yeah, unlikely. I think it won't be the last time we see Reggie, because obviously he's got to
No.
play. We've got to play him twice this season as well, so it definitely won't be the last time we see him.
Yeah.
Certainly for next season. So I did wish him all the best, and apart from the 2 games he plays us, obviously. And obviously we lost. We haven't managed to get an option on what's his name? Defender, I can't remember his name. Beeden, Alexis Beeden. He's obviously
Alexis, yeah.
and I know it's only a short-term deal, but sadly he decided to go full-time with Maidstone. Good luck to Alexis. But going back to the positives, we've got obviously got Jack Turner will be in goal for the next 2 seasons. Robbo, hopefully the same, but the centre back not in goal. God, is that it? Is that what we got? Cooley in midfield as well. Obviously,
Yeah.
in the end of the
Yeah,
season.
but let's not go too far into it, because obviously we're going to be speaking to Spencer about the signings that have come in. So let's not have us ramble on about it. But this is only supposed to be an intro. But look, it's going to be a good episode. The last time we spoke.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah. Look, like I said, the last time we spoke to Spencer on here last season, it was a great episode and was watched by loads of people. So hopefully this one will be the same. Like I said, we're going to talk about all the signings, what's going on pre-season, the friendlies that are coming up as well, which are very important to Spencer and the club. And that's it. So Simon, without further ado, let's get on and speak to him. Right, good evening, Spencer. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Evening.
And how's your? To ask, how's your summer been? I know it's been a little bit busy. How's your summer been?
Uh, Mostly horrible with a few highs. Today probably sums it up more than any, as we're speaking late on Wednesday. Very difficult day. But yeah, that's the life of football managers at this level. It's the worst time of the year, to be honest. It's truly awful. So yeah, just got to get on with it. Sun is shining, so we're back in Saturday. So yeah, it's been a difficult summer.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I think a lot of the fans have been saying the same thing. I think, haven't they? When you say you're back in Saturday, is that for first session of the first session?
Yeah, we're first time back in Saturday. So we're Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. So we're certainly hitting it really hard as usual during pre-season. It's a horrible time of the year. I mean, nobody enjoys pre-season, but it's got to be done. If you don't do it right, it does come back and hit you. But yeah, look, it'd be good to see everybody. Don't get me wrong. It's a bit like first day back at school. You enjoy the first sort of 20 minutes, and after that, you're thinking, "Oh my god, I got 6 weeks of this." So yeah, it's. But as I say, it's part of the process, and yeah, the boys have already been set work. They've been doing work this week before they come in, and at this level now, most of the lads are very fit and would have done a lot of work anyway. So it's not like the old days where you're coming in and they're all sort of massively overweight or eating the wrong stuff. They're predominantly the boys are very, very good.
Excellent. You've got a good management team around you now. So I take it the management team for this season is just going to be the same as it was last year.
No, not at all. There's considerable change there. We got one more to announce. Wilco, there's another coach been added who's been with Steve Baker for I think it must be 10 years at Harrow. I had a lovely chat with him, so he's joining the process. Obviously, Miller's coming in, and so we're still discussing with Bakes. Bakes will be involved. I think he probably Tony Sass will be doing a bit more than he did before, but it's all down to his time commitments. He's a very busy man. So, it's obviously we lost Ricky. So at these levels, you need a strong management team. I think we've always had a strong management team, and we're certainly, all in preparation for pre-season.
Great stuff.
Oh, good. Right. Before we go on to, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about the ingoings and outgoings that have happened over the last few weeks. But before we talk about that, I just wanted to go back to sort of the end of last season. A couple of the games that that we had, you had some quite choice words about the squad, about some of the players after results. Has that sort of played into any of your decisions into who stays and who goes, or have you literally tried to keep everybody on this season?
That's a good question. You try not to look too far back, if I'm honest. You try and learn lessons. You're always learning. A lot of the lads, we don't get a huge say in. It's something I'm sure we're going to discuss. We are where we are. But I think it's fair that I looked at the season overall and went, yes, we've overachieved again. I always want more. That's the problem. Most managers do. Was it over the season we looked like we started and finished pretty well on good pitches in good weather? Is that an age thing, a lack of experience? Possibly. So it's something that in an ideal world I'd like to address. Obviously you'd like a bigger squad. There's all the things, but it will all come back to the same word that you will hear about in this chat and all the time, and that's the solitary word called money. So what I might want and what I might know that I need to improve might not be possible. So we have to wheel and deal, which we've continued to do. But yeah, it's something that we look at and go, that's what we'd like to do. Is it possible? Some of it may be, some of it might not be. We'll come on to it. Look, we're only the third week in June. If you had to ask me right now, I think we're going to be not just quite a different team this year in personnel, which is something that isn't really my choice, but I think we're going to play a different way. I think we're going to be a different dynamic. Obviously, we'll talk about the lads that we've signed. And look, I always say I believe we're in the entertainment business. So, we're going to try and play attractive, forward-thinking football. It's what I believe in adamantly. The challenge is the challenge. But yeah, it's something that could we be more consistent throughout the whole year? Of course, every manager would like consistency. But as I said, we'll keep mentioning it. And this is the second time already in 2 minutes. Money it is the key of pretty much every decision.
The whole thing about money is a big thing, and it's something that you and the club have talked about in your post match interviews and that quite a lot over the last few seasons. And I think last season it kind of there were some fans that were getting a bit, for want of a better word, unhappy, upset at the fact that we weren't making certain signings and stuff like that. And like you said, it all comes down to money. And you had the fans forum last season where you explained to everybody the sort of the intricacies of what goes on behind the scenes and how things work, and they all come out of it with a little bit more of an understanding of how the football club or any football club at this level, even as a part-time club, works. Are you still obviously expecting or asking fans to keep that level of understanding going as we go into the new season? Because we're seeing some good signings coming in.
Football is all about opinions. Nobody has got the definitive answers. I certainly don't. There's no right or wrong most of the time. We try and get more things right than we get wrong. So it's difficult. Statements come out from the directors regarding what we've done. I've made my position very clear. I was very down and a little bit upset and at the start of pre-season, because I could see what was coming in front of us, the players all being picked off. Back to the word money. A lot of them will make excuses, but I can tell you nobody's gone for less money. I can assure you that much. Doubles, triples. It's hard. It's hard as a manager sometimes. It was hard on me. I have those odd moments. I had the opportunity to leave and go to another National South club. Full time. Obviously, I've got great links into this club, and the board were brilliant. When something happened, which obviously we'll discuss, that they were brilliant, and we'll talk about it. I can tell you now, it happened within an hour, and managers, especially when you're fighting against it, but then you have a wonderful moment, and we're about to talk about a very difficult day I've had today, but there's a real rainbow moment that could, and I hope. And I'm going to be positive. I think it could happen in the next 24 hours, and that'll be a phenomenal signing. So there are downs and ups, and that's football. It is tough when you're fighting against it, but I've said it, and this is an incredible season we're about to enter. The National League South is probably the most talked about division outside of the pro leagues right now. It's one hell of a challenge. I don't have a problem with fans asking questions and the difficulties that go in it. And obviously, it's my job to know a lot. And I'm not going to explain every decision why a player might not be playing. He might have an injury, might have something going on at home. There could be so many reasons. So football is about that, the amount of chat and excitement. And, even when it was actually my idea about the smoke. I quite liked it. And I said to the club, I said to Mike, stick it up. And in 4 days, it was only, believe it or not, less than 4 days. Some fans were going mad. This is, they can't read the room. They don't know what they're doing. It was 4 days in the off season. And, I knew obviously we'd done that signing on the Friday. So I knew that signing was coming. And for 4 days in the middle of a week, in the middle of the off season, to get so many people talking about it, and even people to say, oh, what the hell's going on? I'm excited about it. I'm not even a Farnborough fan. So, it was great to get people talking and thinking. And then obviously, 3 fantastic strikers to come in. And, we put a lot of thought into it. As I said, even that, we're part of the entertainment business. And I wouldn't want to be doing that for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, but we did it for 4 days. Yet some people, you'd think we've been doing it for weeks. So, information is important. The club belongs to the fans. That's the same. It always is. Rob and the owners are the custodians of it. They've been brilliant. They've put up hard money in the last 2 weeks. And we desperately need the fans to get behind the club moving forward, because we need to keep moving. We need to keep moving in the right direction. We are moving in the right direction. There's so many positive things, but we can very easily and almost are getting left behind. So that's our challenge. I said, I feel like we've been promoted, if I'm honest, looking around the league and what people are doing, £1 million sponsorships. Maybe someone will come knocking Q80 or somebody else will come knocking on Rob's door. I don't know. But, it is a challenge. And as I said, today literally sums up my off season, really terrible conversation with Joe Haig, which was about 1 minute long. I'm very disappointed. But again, I don't want to take away from the last 18 months plus that he's been with us, because he's a fantastic young man. I think he's got it wrong. I've told him that. I think it's a poor decision. But again, I come back to the fact that it's about opinions. And I've not got the definitive answer what Joe should be doing for his career. I think he should be in the EFL. And I think he was in the right place for another year with us, where he was going to play week in, week out, in what I hope will be a very strong side. But he's chosen to go to another National South side for, let's be blunt, money and full time. I think this full-time thing is quite frankly a nonsense in this division, with the exception and the greatest respect to other clubs, with the exception of Torquay, who, let's face it, are a football league club in all but league position, being full-time, it's more important you're playing. It's more important as a young man you're getting exposure. But players have to make their own choices. Most of them are agented up and parented up and the rest of it. And as I said, I've not got the defined right to say that I'm right. Time will tell. We wish him all the best. I said, yeah, you're catching me right now only 4 hours later, and I'm extremely disappointed. But, we wish him all the best and his family. And this is what happens. And let's face it, is because of our success. It is, the fact that we finished in the top 10 and we were top twice is part of our success. We've absolutely no right to be anywhere near that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was going to mention this. Obviously, we can start with Joe and work our way backwards if you like, Spencer.
Yeah.
Obviously, you said mentioned Joe leaving. Obviously, he's gone to another rival team, and maybe you can divulge a little bit on that if you want to. And also Reggie going as well.
Actually, no. I don't. To be clear, I think I know, but I don't know. They've not contacted us. I wasn't happy, and the club wasn't happy that Joe had announced it. We would have liked to have done that together. But if someone wants to tweet, then it's not. But he's written me a lovely message. To be clear, lovely message, apologising, thanking us all, thanking me. So look, it's a bit like with Reggie. yeah, you're disappointed. Yes, I might be angry as a manager. I want to have the best players, but I don't take it away from the last 18 months. And you know, so and in Reggie's case, 7 years. So, you know, it's difficult. You know, of course, I'm frustrated, but yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, he's going to another national south side. It's full time. It's obviously much more money. Let's face it, we're also going to be entitled to substantial compensation, which I'm trying to spend right now. I've spoken to Rob. I've told him where I want to spend it. And as much as this is a negative part of this conversation, I've offered a really, really good player from a much higher level, a good deal, and he wants to go part-time. He's got a business that he wants to develop. And he's got to take a monumental pay cut, but he'll be a fantastic player. So I'm hoping the conversation went well. He knows a few of our lads, which will give a few clues about. And I will say, obviously, it's central midfield. So, you know, I'm working really hard. That make no bones about it. And now that money's, you know, gone from Joe, we'll spend it somewhere else.
Obviously, the same thing with Richard Chin going as well. Chin, he's gone up to Scotland. Did we get any? Can you divulge? Did we get any money for him?
We will, absolutely. We're entitled to compensation there. They've made a first offer which has been rejected. We'll go to tribunal if we have to. We had about 5 clubs interested for Chin. I've got one offer in writing as well for him. I say as a manager, it gets forwarded to me from the club. So we hope we'll do a deal with Wraith, the director called me directly, and I gave Chinny a glowing reference. And I helped Chinny on the last day because a National League club came in for him last minute. But they hesitated, and Chinny decided, he was already in Scotland, decided to take the 2-year deal up there. So, I mean, that was a key example. I was helping Chinny get the right deal. Once he decided he wanted to go full time, you know, we help these players. And I've said to Joe in my last message today, I said, if you're torn between these 2 National League South clubs, give me a call if you want an opinion. I hope he will, but if he doesn't, you know, he's got agents and parents around him. So, and you know, as has been shown for me as Farnborough boss, many players come back. So you don't try and burn bridges anyway. As I said, you get that initial disappointment. I didn't think he would go, if I'm honest. That's probably what's made it worse. I really didn't think he would go. I think I felt that we proved the case that this was the right place for him to get an EFL deal and a starting EFL deal, not be a squad player. Because I think he had an average season, and he admitted that at the end of the season when we did our reviews with him. So, but I said we wish him all the best. So we'll get compensation for Chin. We expect substantial compensation for Millers from Hemel. We've got a strong written offer from a League One club for him. That could well be a battle. That could go to tribunal. Don't want it to, but at the moment we're not. We're some far way apart at the moment, but we're trying to resolve it. So look, that money, Rob has always said, that money that comes into those type of places goes straight back to me to go and spend. So we're not sitting on our laurels. We're disappointed. We thank the players that are leaving and look forward to the new lads that are coming in.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to know you. The club are I think doing things in the right way. It's good business. Yes, you don't want the players to leave. However, when you do lose them and they decide to go elsewhere, at least the club's compensated in some way with regards to it. And
not always. I mean, obviously there's rules there, so people understand it's under 24 and it's training compensation. It's not a value of a player. So, but obviously one of the things about training compensation is how much interest you've got in the player. Has he gone to a higher level? Has he gone to full time? So these are all factors about what you then get. It used to be not an awful lot, you know, 1 or 2, 3 grand, but it's rising now, and rightfully so. And there's comparables to what other players have gone for. So it certainly won't be a tiny amount. It's not like a transfer fee, like a pay or something. Let's be clear. But I will say, I'm not going to say it's for, but we've had a formal offer for a player today in the last 2 hours from a club to buy one of our players who's under contract. We'll see how that develops in the next 24, 48 hours. So, you know, we are ultimately a business. People ask me what it's like to be a manager, and I say, well, a lot of the time I feel like I'm a social worker. I can be an accountant trying to balance the book, the budget that I'm given. And then you move on to, you know, at the moment, the one thing I'm not doing is looking after player after game after game after game about the tactics and looking at the opposition. But that's all about to start again. So costs still rise. The club's done an amazing job with the pitch, but yeah, it's we've got a good core, and And I think there's probably only a couple of areas of the pitch we're looking for as we start pre-season, and we could be in a lot worse position than that. That's for sure, and have been in multiple years. So, disappointing to lose some key players. There's not going to hide from it. It is a rebuild from that perspective. But obviously the buzz of bringing in the strikers and a centre half, which we're about to talk about, and the centre mid that we're about to talk about is we have to embrace the new lads.
Yeah, it's good you've gone into some details there, Spencer, about it all, because I think a lot of people don't sort of understand the way it all works, but it's really good. Who, obviously the episode's going to go out after this anyway, but who is the centre back that we've got coming in about 10 minutes?
That is Lachlan Bird.
Oh yeah,
he was at Aldershot last year. He was due to join us on deadline day, and unfortunately, we missed the paperwork by about 6 minutes. It got left way too late. Not by the two clubs. It was just one of those things. He had to negotiate the termination with Aldershot. Now, Lackey is somebody. Number one, we signed him about 4 weeks ago. He's been back in Australia, home, so he's come back to the UK. Now he's ready to go. He lives in Camberley with his partner, which is great. Now, Lackey's somebody I've been after for some time. He was, this time last year, he was according to Y-Scout, which is the main stats that we all use as clubs, they're part of the league. He was the number one rated centre-half in the whole of the National South. So I'm very pleased to get him. He's an old school defender, but he can still pass the ball well. He's got a phenomenal attitude. He's still quite young. He doesn't look it, but he's still quite young. And even though he's been signed for some time, he hasn't been able to do the social media, etc., that we like to do. That's going out very shortly after we film this. I'm delighted to bring him in.
Yeah, it's a really good signing, that, Spence. I watched him a couple of times at Aldershot last year, and he played very well. He played in the back three, I think, for Aldershot on the right hand side.
A lot of people were surprised that he got released from Aldershot or sent out on loan. As I said, come back to opinions. We can all have opinions on Bird and Stuttle and other players that go between clubs. And sometimes players just fit at clubs. That's something that people don't recognise. You look at players that I've had. Again, I'm not going to give you who it is, but I've had somebody who's played for us for years that contacted me yesterday and said, "Would you take me back?" And we've made him an offer. It's not an offer he loves, I tell you, but from a financial perspective. But I'm proud as well of the fact that predominantly get on with probably 99% of players that have played for me, and that they want to come back. And that's not just me; that's the club, that's the supporters, the volunteers, the surroundings we give them. So, Lackey is he's another exciting signing. He's a quality player, and we're trying to strengthen everywhere. But it's always been a battle against the bigger clubs.
Yeah, I mean, Lackey's he was former Welling player, isn't he? Is it Welling?
Yeah, said he was Welling Player of the Year, and said the highest rated centre half in the league this time last year, which is how he got his move to Aldershot full time. Yeah. So look, he wants to go and play 45 games. Fingers crossed. We need luck. We all need luck with the injury front. But a really strong centre half as we move forward. Yeah,
he's a tall, rangy, quite quick, good in the air. Yeah, good signing. I think he'll complement Robbo quite well, I think.
Well, we've got. I can get onto it. I'm not going to announce it now because it's right. It's got to be done the right way. But we've got a lone centre half coming in that is known to the club. There's a clue until January at least. That paperwork is being done now, but until it's signed and sealed and announced, it's not done. We've also got a very exciting left-sided centre-half coming to pre-season, who's had a terrible time in the last 18 months, but has played, let's call it, over 50 appearances in the National League as a left-sided centre-half of a young age. He needs luck, the poor lad. He was going through it with me today, and he says he's coming. We haven't signed him yet. I want to look at him. I've got to protect the club because of what the history that he's had. But we want at least sort of 4/5 centre halves. That one of the lads who came pre-season last year, very young lad who had been released from Millwall, he's coming in, and we're very excited by him, and we're hoping that he'll potentially go on contract. And he's had a year away at step 3 and done very well, and he's quick. So there's plenty of things that can add into those areas. But we've still, as you said, straight away, you're looking about, you've got Robbo, you've got Lackey, you've got the loan that we know is said subject to paperwork is done, and at least another. So, and then we've got 2 fullbacks, 2 wingbacks, both sides. We need competition. We also need to protect ourselves, obviously, from injuries.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, because I just want to reverse back a little bit. Obviously, we lost. Ricky left quite early in pre-season.
Yep.
Obviously, went to Chelmsford, who seem to be the big talking club of the league this season. It seems
I think what they've told us so far is only the tip of the iceberg from what I'm hearing. What may be about to be announced. So, but just jealous. Look, good luck to them. Is it sustainable? Not my problem. The reality is we've got a 7,000 stadium that's ready to go. So, a lot of these clubs are spending money. They don't even have stadiums, but very exciting for everyone down at Chelmsford. Wish them a lot of luck, except when we were playing them. And, Ricky went there. Look, we were always going to use Ricky. We lost him, didn't we, a couple of years ago? He went to Dover briefly. It's on his doorstep. That's the reality. It is exciting over there. Is it risky? Maybe. Is he going to play as much as he wants? It's not my problem anyway. It's his problem. But again, incredibly grateful for what he's done for us. We also have to look at every player's age, about getting the amount of minutes out of them and value for money because of age comes to us all. But he's been a wonderful servant for the football club, and it's not even really the right word. Friend, I think, of the football club would be more appropriate. And, I never say never again. Him not coming back in some shape or form one day, maybe nick my job. I don't know. That was always inevitable. It was such a huge distance and it's full time. And, so we wish him and his family all the best.
It's funny you say that coming back, because when you say nick your job, I had to come up with that prediction when he left. I said I wouldn't be surprised to see Ricky back. Maybe he'll replace Spencer when.
I still think you're going to have the problem that Ricky lives 2 and a bit hours away each way, and that's on a good day of traffic, and that is that's an awful lot of hours and mileage in cars. It's not a lot of fun.
Yeah. Also, we've also seemed to have lost the whole car share as well, because Ricky was sharing with Chinny and Reggie as well. So all 3 of them have gone. So obviously they couldn't live without each other, really, could they?
Well, they've all gone in completely different directions, haven't they? So, Reggie's gone to Dagenham. That was incredibly disappointing. We had that deal done. I mean, Ricky came in for Reggie, which is a whole different conversation that we won't go into, but very disappointed because that sums it up. Reggie told us categorically, 99% I'm done, I'm staying, I'm happy. But then, Dagenham will come in, it's full time, it's big numbers. And again, disappointed. Do I think it's the right decision? No, but again, same as I said earlier, it's time will tell. He's been brilliant for us. We're going to miss him on and off the pitch, but players move on. I mean, it's very rare you have a CJ who plays all the time. Pretty much, I've been there till last year, and I said it before. The off season is a horrible time. Players that are fantastic people, good football players, obviously. They just become so me. You're not a team at this point. I get it. Money talks, full-time careers. I'm desperate to keep them. They're trying to, better themselves. There's no problem with that, but it just makes it's just horrible, quite frankly. And you've got to get on with it. And if you're doing that from a very tight financial perspective and part-time, it's very difficult. But then when we talk about the good bits, we've got some of these players because they want to be part-time and they want to play on grass. So, we're also taking some benefits from that. So it does work both ways sometimes, but obviously predominantly lads go, I want to be full-time. I want to be really well paid. I want to do this. I want to do that. And, some of them will turn around in a year and go, my God, that was a disaster. I was a squad player. I hardly played. I did, this, that, and the other. And I go, well, we told you so. But this, as I said, time will tell. And, we have to focus on ourselves.
It kind of happened with Reggie a couple of years ago when he went to Hemel. I think they were.
Oh, it did. And Rob and I went to watch him once, and we went to watch him. I can't remember. We went to watch him, and he came over to us, and he was miserable. But I don't want him. I don't want Reggie to be miserable. He's such a good. You only wish these guys success. It's football, unfortunately. So we'll see. We'll see how it all breaks down. But we've got to focus on our own lads now. Lads that decide to leave, thank them, wish them best, move on, and focus on our lads, the lads that want to be here And, you know, if you'd said to me a month ago, you know, you'd have Poley and Bingham and Bloomfield, I would have said you're taking something. So, you know, to be to bring those lads in is a real shot in the arm for not just the football club, but for me personally.
Yeah, they're all great signings, aren't they? Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, Simon.
Sorry.
Let's move on then to the lads that have come in and signed on. So obviously it's great to see the likes of Bradshaw and Casfrey Jones come back and sign on. Talk to us about Ben Greenwood.
So Greenwood was
like?
somebody that, again, we thought we'd signed before the end of the season. Unfortunately, due to his age, we weren't certainly going to pay a fee for him. He lives locally, lives in Ash. He was desperate to come, and whenever it was March, it didn't happen, and then he got injured. I think it's fair to say that Ben is a lad that was so highly sought of at Bournemouth. He was the development squad captain. He was very close to first team. And he's had a poor year. Not going to beat around it. He's had a poor year. He's got an incredible attitude. He's got a real gift for football. He's got great supporting family. He's on our doorstep. It's down to him to go and prove it. He's got to step up now. It's not going to be easy. He's not just going to have a shirt. Nobody is. You know, there will be two players in those positions. He's very attacking. He can play slightly further forward as well. So are we going to be a back three? Are we going to be a back four? I think it'd be like last year. I think it'd be a mix. Every game was going to be so tight. I think we lost 12 games by one goal. Somebody told me it was that tight, you know. So I'm only expecting it with these really good teams, clubs, that games will be very tight. So it's down to him to get in and keep the shirt. And it's the same, you know, with Bradshaw and Luch, who's re-signed, and I'm ecstatic with that. I think he's a fantastic person and player.
Yeah, great player.
So, you know, we're going to have competition both sides, and we need luck to keep people fit. Poor Luch, you know, he's had a terrible run of injuries. So, you know, competition is key. Ben has come in. He's a bundle of energy and joy and wants success, and he's focused on performing on the pitch.
Brilliant stuff. And obviously, it's great to see Mason Bloomfield back after he departed us early on last season. Hopefully, glad to hear all the issues that was going on with his family seem to be resolved. So it's great to see him back. Hopefully, we'll see him scoring soon. But talk us through Rakish and Dominic. How did that come about? How did they come about? Because there was an empty last season, weren't they?
I'll quickly touch on Mason. As you quite rightly say, he called me. We had a gentleman's agreement when he left. He said that he would always give me first dibs if he wanted to come back to play football. And I joke you not, the call was less than 1 minute. He called me and he said, I said to him, how's the situation? I'm not going to disclose what that is. No. And he said, oh, it's so much better. Absolute wonderful news. And he said, look, I think I want, you know, we had an agreement. I'd ask you first. So I just went, done.
Yeah.
And he went, he said, great. And I said, no, Mason, it's the easiest conversation of the summer. He said, done. And I said, see you a week Saturday, and wished him best, and we put the phone down. And it's an absolute joy. He's such a great guy. I don't think he showed us what he could do at the start of last season because he had this situation going on behind him, and he's going to take a few weeks to get going again. I don't want to put pressure on him. But what a great guy, and he's a very good footballer. So, you know, I'm delighted he's back. And then moving on, obviously my job is, you know, I think management at this level is 80% recruitment. You've got to get your recruitment right, and it's impossible to get it all right. That's ridiculous. But I knew these two lads that they were getting offers, a lot of offers, and through my sources, I heard a rumor they weren't. They were massive offers, but most of them were on a 4G, and I called them both. I have to say we've got a guy that I think should be called Q. He calls himself Dom, but I think we call him Q. He's the Farnborough Q. And I said, can you get me these two boys' numbers if I don't have them, which is quite rare. And I'd gone to my sources to get their numbers, and I did get their numbers, but that was a couple of hours later. And our Q got them in about 20 minutes. And I called them both. I spoke to them both for over half an hour, and they impressed me. And clearly I impressed them with the whole plan of now what I believe is going to be the best pitch in the league. which was a massive. The fact that we're part-time, they've both got other careers they're developing. They're both only, I think, 31. I don't have it in front of me, apologies. And their hunger to start again. I think if you look at the stats, and I have not, I think it's got to be quite tight between Rax and Dom versus Pryor and Rutherford to be the highest scoring duo in National League South history as a duo. That's how good these two are. They're very good friends. And I spoke to them both, and they, Rax has had a poor year with injuries. Let's not beat around it. If he hadn't, we wouldn't be having the conversation. There's a risk there, as there is with everybody. And he knew that his stock wasn't high because of the injuries. And we spoke, now probably about 10 days ago. And in 36 hours, the deal was done. They spoke to people about me, about us. They turned down massive offers, but they knew that the commitment that we gave them was really strong, and look, cost the club good money, if we're successful. And they fitted into the, we want to do part-time, we want to be on grass, we want to be a part of it. We gave them a 2-year deal with conditions, so I've protected the club. And I was so impressed with both lads. And I must also say both agents were really good, because the problem I had was they had so much stronger financial offers, but they were full-time or 4Gs and even lower levels. And it was a battle to try and say, look, you've got to ignore that. If you don't want to be on a 4G pitch, it doesn't matter what somebody's going to offer you. It doesn't work. So, and it was tough to get that out of their heads, but quite quickly, well, very quickly, actually, 36 hours, we got it back and they said, look, we're in. Now, in that 36 hours, as soon as I realized there was a chance, I went to Rob and I said, look, this is what I need. I need a commitment. It's not like now. I need a commitment over potentially 2 years if things go well. I said, I need you to give me this extra money. And he went off to the directors. We'd had a board meeting, which they've announced, obviously, a few weeks earlier, and they'd given me some money. And I'm very grateful. It's very easy just to say, I want more managers. I always want more money. We do. And these guys have been totally brilliant, the owners, particularly Rob, but the four of them are putting up money. And, they're all very successful people. But I don't think they'll mind me saying that none of them are multimillionaires. This is hard-earned money. And I know from when I had it all those years ago, hard money is, hard earned. And I gave them a figure they needed to raise, and they raised probably 75% of it within an hour. And the phrase came back to me, get it done. Now, I didn't know I would get it done, but as I said, I sort of jumped around a bit there in timeline. Within 24 hours, we had got it done. They came down, and, we delayed it out for about a week. The announcement of the signing, it was done a week ago. Plus, because we were doing Mason, and there was potentially a fourth lad that was one of my earlier targets coming. And as much as I still wanted him to come, he went to another club in a coaching capacity. So it was probably a good thing anyway, because it was overkill. But we were waiting to see what happened with that. But yeah, I mean, fantastic signings, great lads, came down, very popular straight away. They're going to be massive fans' favourites. And the firepower we've got at this club is phenomenal. As I said earlier, we're going to need luck. There is an element of risk. There's a risk in every signing. You could put somebody on the pitch that hasn't had an injury in 10 years and they fall over and, God forbid, hurt themselves. There is risk. Of course there is. But touch wood, we've had some good successes. I mean, obviously, people like Kev Locko, what a legend he was. He played one game the year before we took him. He played every single game bar one, and that wasn't due to an injury. So we all need luck. They're really happy, smiley guys, and they're an incredible partnership. And then by pure luck, Rax in particular knows Mason Bloomfield very well. So that's already another huge plus. So these type of partnerships, strength that we've got, it was a massive boost to everyone. And so I'm very grateful to the director's owner for coming up with that money. But as they've rightly said, we need the supporters to buy season tickets, sponsors, talk to other people, bring other people down, because they've put up hard money, and these are fantastic players. And I know it's easier to come at the start of the season, and but it's that coming with deep Tuesday nights, and when winter comes in, and supporting your club more consistently, because that's the way that we grow as a club. We are growing. It's very, very positive. obviously as a manager, I'd like us to grow a bit faster so we could have a bit more budget. But it's really tough, but it's also really exciting. So it's sort of over to the fans. We're working really, really hard in a very exciting league. But yes, those 3 striker signings are really fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you, Spencer. I mean, when I saw when I saw the Don pop up, and I thought ex Ebbsfleet, I thought it can't be Don Pylon, surely, and and it was fantastic. Yeah,
played 37 times for Leeds in the Championship.
Yeah,
he's 31 as well. It's the type of thing I have to learn from errors. Well, they're not errors. As I said, recruitment, you can't get them all right. It's impossible. And players can often tell you what they want you to hear rather than what it is, and all the analysis. And full-time to part-time can be a problem. We've discussed it. We've had our successes. I've also had my failures on players, and not due to a bad effort, as in a bad attitude. Sometimes it just doesn't work, especially but they're 31. They're not 35, 36. And may I remind you that Ricky Holmes came to us, I think, at 34 and went to 38 and was an absolutely fantastic success. So, we need luck. We need them to focus and work hard. I'm pretty sure they will, and very, very exciting players that we can move forward with.
Yeah, they're good signings. Talking about moving forward, let's move forward to pre-season and friendlies, and we got some really exciting games coming up in pre-season. Probably the most exciting and money spinnerish type one is going to be the Portsmouth game on the Wednesday, 16th of July. I just want to have a chat about that, Spencer. And
yeah, I mean, that was Portsmouth. I dealt with it at the start, and they were very clear. It's full first team. They play a double header. They used to do it, so they'll play on the Tuesday and the Wednesday. The full first team. I think they'll split it 45 minutes in each. They'll play in both games. It's the way they choose to run it. We're very grateful, very excited to welcome, hopefully, an awful lot of Portsmouth fans. And pitch is incredible. What's being done at Farnborough at the moment. So I think it's arguably got to be the biggest pre-season game I've had. So very much looking forward to that. It'll certainly be testing, playing a championship club. But we're all looking forward to it, and hope people buy tickets and again come and support us and enjoy the evening. And we've also got good games: Southampton 11, Charlton 11, Eastleigh, and very grateful to the sides that we go early part of the season, where we hope our fans will travel to support those clubs. So it's that usual mixed match of pre-season, but yeah, rightfully Portsmouth being the full first team is the headline game, and I'm sure it'll be a really good night.
How are we doing with ticket sales so far, Spencer? Do you know where we're at the minute?
I do, yeah, but it's we want people to buy tickets. It's difficult to get thousands of people in at this stage because people are still on summer, and it's still, let's be blunt, nearly a month away. So it'll ramp up nearer the time, but there's been an awful lot of tickets sold, and from the Portsmouth perspective, I'm sure it'll only get bigger and better. And as I said, we're very much looking forward to it. They sell out at Havant, 3,500. It's on the doorstep, but I believe Portsmouth spoke to their supporters groups, and they were very excited about the Farnborough game, somewhere different, great stadium, and I'm sure we'll look after them all.
Yeah, be good. Yeah, so also remind the fans that'll be our first home friendly of the season as well. So it's a great opportunity to come down and, so like I say, see the pitch, see the stadium, see the improvement, see the new players, exciting players as well. Certainly in forward areas. And then
certainly hope we don't get completely battered. Let's face it, we are playing a championship side. So yes.
Well, let's try not to have a repeat of Tadley Cavella, shall we?
Well, well, yeah, exactly. So it was in the Club World Cup I saw the other day. Was it Bayern hit? How many? I don't know. Are they hitting that?
10-0,
yeah. So look, it will be a very, very tough run out, that's for sure. But as I said, a really exciting fixture for everybody involved with Farnborough.
As a manager, what is it you look for from your squad, from your players during these friendlies, when you're playing them? What is it?
I'm going to just bore you here. No injuries is number one. You dread it, quite frankly. You dread it, and you want to start to get your patterns going. You want your fitness levels to get up. We won't be running a huge squad. I mean, there's a few other lads we can talk about briefly in a minute that I think are coming, that are nearly done in areas, if nothing else. It is just, everything has to focus to August the 9th. It's the old cliche. You can win every game in pre-season and get relegated. You can lose every game in pre-season and get promoted. You want a balance. I think ultimately, I don't mind losing a couple of games in pre-season. I wouldn't want to lose them all because, confidence and momentum is key. But first and foremost, you don't want injuries. I mean, we've all been through it. I've been through it at Farnborough. I remember, at the end of us pre-season at Molesey, we lost our 3 signings in that last pre-season game. A young trialist for the opposition was kicking lumps out of us. It was like, that's your worst nightmare. Again, we're back to that word luck. We all need luck. So I don't enjoy it pre-season. It'd be great to see, our place completely rammed, at least for the Portsmouth game and other games. That's for sure. The pitch, I've joked with, well, not joked. I've asked Rob each year, could we get the pitch relayed as the top of it, because it was close to one of the best pitches, again by fabulous volunteer staff led by Kevin and Phil. And this year, a few of them chipped in and got it done. And I was only there, obviously, whatever it was, a week ago, signing the 2 lads, meeting them properly face to face, and the pitch is incredible. I mean, it's with the greatest respect, losing Boreham Wood, which was pitches done I think by Arsenal, which is fantastic surface. This, I don't know who's going to have a better surface. So we're really looking forward to that as well, and want to try and play football on it, obviously. So very, very exciting from that perspective.
You look forward to having a good record again then this season.
Sorry, I missed you that, chaps.
Sorry, look forward to having a really good home record again then this season as always, hopefully.
Yeah, well, home record is, again, that really sums up us, doesn't it? Home record was very, very strong, right towards the top end of the table. It's always difficult away. And, you asked early doors, do you learn lessons about players at the end of the season? And you do. Predominantly we were very young last year, predominantly with a few older heads, the Rickies and the Jack Turners and a couple of others, but we were very young. As I said, at the moment, I'd say because of the part-time and the grass, right now, as we're talking, I think we're going to be an older side. And I certainly don't mean old. I just mean older than we were last year. And it will be a different way of winning football games. I think we'll be very technical. Look, things can change in the next 6-8 weeks. But, the way it's looking at the moment, I can say that we've got a really exciting other central midfield player that's paperwork is due to be done tomorrow, on loan from a League One club. And the words of their director of football is he's their best young player prospect. Fabulous, number 8. At an attacking creative 8, and we're taking him on loan till January without a break clause. I said it's not been signed, it's not been announced, but the paperwork is being done, so probably dicing with death mentioning it, but I'm really hoping that's done. As I said, we've made a great offer for another central midfielder this afternoon, and we've got a really exciting attacking central midfield player who's been released by a Premier League club that we've done the deal, but I would just like him to come in for pre-season and check he's as happy as we are. So that one is close to done, but so we want to check on that. And as usual, we'll have the 3 or 4 trialists. I've already mentioned the left centre half. So we've not got a lot of areas to sharpen up on, really. We're very close on the centre halves, both full-backs, wing-backs. Centre mid is getting definitely closer. Obviously, today's loss is a tough one. There's no question about that. And strikers, clearly, there won't be much additions there. Possibly a young loan, possibly. So 2 semi-permanent loans, which I like. Where they're with us for a long time. And for instance, both loans, I'm expecting to be at training on Saturday. They'll be part of us from day one, and I'm so grateful to both league clubs. And yeah, we've not got a huge amount, but it's still nice that we've got a couple of areas, because you never know what's going to come out in pre-season. But yeah, ultimately, please God, we get through pre-season relatively unscathed, with a mixture of results where we can learn things, learn how to play. Because as I said, there's a lot of restructure in there. I think we'll be different, as I said, and then we'll wait. It's not far, is it? It's only 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks before the fixtures are out, and what a challenge we face. And we'll all be excited for seeing where we go opening day.
Yeah, is there any particular games you're looking forward to playing this season? Just get them done.
I hope for the fans' sake that we get Torquay away on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful club down there, with great fans. It's you know, quite frankly, I'd love it to be very early doors so we can all go and have a weekend of it in sunshine down there as the Riviera they talk about down there. Wouldn't that be nice for once? So we'll probably get it on a February Tuesday night away. I'd like us to get non-league day at home. I think we've had one non-league day at home in 11 years, which I pointed out before, which is really harsh on Farnborough. I think that's something that should be taken into account. Let's see if it does. It'd be great to be able to try and grow the club through that program that they do with non-league day. Obviously, Christmas and New Year, I thought it was very harsh to be travelling to Bath on New Year's Day for everybody. But you've got to play everybody twice. This is the lowest amount of travelling we're ever going to do, quite frankly. We haven't got Truro, we haven't got Merthyr, and massive games when you look at Ebbsfleet and Dagenham and Redbridge and Maidenhead and Dorking, of course, and Eastbournes. And I mean, the list is obviously Torquay. The list is just staggering. So but that's really exciting, really, really exciting games. And the challenge is there for everybody to enjoy. And yet again, we're going to try and upset the odds. And bide the time, because so much, which I'm not going to discuss, is going on behind the scenes. Some has actually happened, hasn't been announced yet, which is great. I will say it is good for the long-term future of the football club from Rob's perspective, but there's so much that then follows on from that, and it just takes time. So this is why we've got to keep focusing on trying to keep moving forward, even if it's small steps, as hard as it is, whether we start to talk about hybrid and where we start to talk about full-time. All comes back to that money word. But they are working so hard. It's painfully slow. Some of it's been going on now for nearly 10 years. That gives you an idea. But I really believe some of the plans they've got could and should happen, because they're the benefit of the community, and hopefully they will happen sooner rather than later, or I don't know, some lottery winner comes along and can do it can move forward. So
I did get a ticket for that 218 million.
I think I had £12 of tickets on there.
Wasn't successful, sadly. So
I know, gutted. Someone in the Republic of Ireland, if he wants to buy a football club, I'll give him Rob's number.
Yeah, you wouldn't want me as a chairman anyway, Spencer. To be fair, it'd be awful.
I'll be long gone.
I'll be in the dressing room at half time giving out the team.
Oh, bloody hell. Well, you'll be on your own. Great to get. Speaking of dressing rooms, great to get Miller's back. Mike back. Sorry, well, certainly back to Farnborough. Miller's will be a joy. Wilco coming in. Steve's been working hard in pre-season. Mike has just been a superstar all the way through. Mike and Dom doing the social media. As I said, it's so easy. All the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, the directors, the work that's going. It's, as I said, I've talked about the pitch many times. Look, it's fantastic place, the club. I'd like to have £1 million sponsorship given to me. I'd like to have the budgets that are floating around and the huge attendances and everything else. But we're a very stable club. We're a very popular club, and we're going to work really hard to keep it successful.
Yeah, positive stuff. Good. Happy days.
Right. Look, before we let you go, Spencer, just one final word from you for the fans. What you want a bit of encouragement, word of encouragement of what you want from them for this season.
Well, it doesn't change. I mean, they've been absolutely magnificent. They've supported, we've had 2 promotions in whatever it is, 6-7 years. We've come from multi-million pounds worth of debt before I arrived. That got sorted out. We've had 2 promotions. We've had to, we've rejigged. I made a comment that I'm not really into social media at all, but it came up Farnborough game against Dorchester about 10 years ago I think it was the Skrill South then, when I was in early days in charge, and there was about 300 people watching it, and the Standard, and you look where the club is now. It's phenomenal growth. The division is staggering. It's strong. Financially, I've made a statement about how much money is going to be lost this year in wages. I think it's a minimum of 8 million just in players' wages loss. That's not in total spent, that's loss, because only 2 clubs go up. But that's an exciting challenge. The National League South has grown so much with the media and the support and the sponsors, and what a fantastic place, and the fans are in a massive part of it, and we are growing. It's tough. We don't have huge debt around us, which is great. I mean, some of the numbers that are floating around, owners telling them they had to put in an extra £1 million this year in our division. It's just like, wow. I'm jealous. Congratulations, good for them that they can afford to do that. But we're not in that position. And ultimately, we're a community club that is developed with a phenomenal stadium. So we've got to try and, go again. The fans, they demand results. I get it. Do they really care that we don't run a load of debt? Do we really care that, we're not doing this, not doing that? They just want to win on a Saturday or a Tuesday night. And I get that. I've been a football fan all my life. I get it. It's not easy, but they've been fantastic. It's the same thing as, bringing in the likes of Polian and Bingham and Bloomfield back. It's speak to other people, get more people involved. Can you introduce, more fans to us, more sponsors, crikey. If you know any billionaires, please, I'm sure, go and tell them to knock on Rob's door. But it's about growth. We can't stand still. We need more people. And we also need more people when things are tough. As you said, we had a phenomenal home record, and sometimes there were disappointing tendencies. We just won, and less people turned up. It's like, hang on a minute. But the kids' support has been growing. The kids' teams, the women's teams, the walking football teams. I mean, the place is just absolutely flying, really. And it is against the odds financially. There's no question about it. If you just take out the Polian Bingham commitment, it's really, really tough. You see what's going on at step 3 as well. The money that some of these step 3 teams are playing. It's like, will it keep happening? May do, may not. It's none of our business, really. But it's a real challenge. But we've got a really strong core group of people. It's not going to be easy. They've got to stick with it. I desperately want them to. I'd love us to, have another great cup run. I'd love us to, be very successful. But let's be honest, I don't know a team this year that should be sitting there going, we're going to win the league. I mean, quite frankly, you're bonkers to say that. I don't care who you are in this division. It's going to be so tough. You're probably 80% of the league thinking they can get in the playoffs. There's probably only 4 or 5 clubs who are going, do you know what? If you offered me survival now, I'll take it. So much money, but that's the exciting challenge. Much rather that than where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, etc. So we're in a great position. So I hope we entertain you. Thank you for your support. I hope you're having a great summer. We're not done yet in the market. We've got a great core. We've got more people. We don't, it's a balancing act. We're trying to hold on to players. As I said, we've just heard on there, whatever it is, what are we today? The 24th of July, whatever we are, Joe's decided to leave. We've been on that since day one of the off season. We can't control what lads decide to do sometimes. So disappointing from that perspective, but fantastic incoming signings, working really hard, and we'll see as many of you as possible during pre-season, and obviously when the season starts for real.
Yeah, I think pre-season in total is, thanks for that, Spencer. I think if pre-season, I think it's gone full circle really, from starting off disappointingly to being really positive, I think. And even only what you've just said in this interview, I think, has highlighted the positivity around the club. And like you said, there's more stuff going on than just signing a few strikers. There's loads of other stuff.
We have to work really hard, with the loan clubs. You're working with them, and then it's just to give you a quick one on that. You ask for a loan, and they want to use the player for the first part of pre-season, and I'm fighting hard to, can we have more of them? But they're parent clubs, they're their players. So, you're battling with the money, you're battling with the availability of the player. You want to know that the deal is done, so. And then, for instance, I was signing another loan 3-4 weeks ago, and the parent club didn't realise his wages had gone up 50%, and they wanted us to pay it, which is completely out of the question. It was stone dead. They said, well, we've got 4 other offers for him, but because he wants to come to you, I said, well, it's just not going to happen. So much goes on, and there will still be quite a bit going on, and we hope that 1 or 2 of the trialists will excite us, that we'll do very, very well. But I think we've got a very good core there already. Great that we've got Turner on longer term, Cooley on longer term, Robbo already done. So we've got a good group. There's always a bit of in and out, but yeah, disappointed obviously with some fans' favourites leaving. It's always disappointing, but it is because of our success. Let's be blunt. It is because of our success, the club's success. So what we now must do is get the new batch in, and fingers crossed we can have another successful season.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I agree.
Brilliant stuff. Right, don't go away, Spencer. This episode was sponsored by Tratec Consulting, taking your business visions and turning them into innovative reality. For more information, visit tratecconsulting.co.uk. Spencer, thanks for coming on. Don't go away. We'll have a quick little chat on when we come off air. But thanks for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Hopefully,
And
we're
we'll
all
see you
still
pre-season.
doing well this time next year, same spot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I might still be in the same hotel room, to be honest with you. It might look very familiar.
Thanks, fellas. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Spencer. Much appreciated.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks to everybody for watching us here on YouTube. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll be back very soon with another episode. Good evening.